Hey, what's up, guys? So this is Horrifying Nights, or Paranormal Adventures, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I decided that instead of doing the entire season, where it is all about the same thing, cold spots, and depends on which place and all that stuff, I might as well do at least one episode where I don't just talk about one thing in different houses and all that stuff. So I decided to do something a little bit different. And today I'm going to talk about my father works, whatever you want to call it, for the sheriff's department for, I don't want to do this specific year, but 25 to 30 years. So 5-0, pigs, whatever you want to call them. And he has had a lot of creepy calls that he has had over the years, but this one I think takes the cake for being the creepiest call I have ever been told by my father. So I don't know when exactly this was. I wish I asked him that to get more of a specific year and where or when it exactly happened, but that's fine. So this happened in something around 8 months to a year ago, and so this man was driving one night, and he turns on this street, and he notices something weird. Not just weird, really weird. He sees a motorcycle in the middle of the street. So he calls the police, and my dad picks up, and he says that there is this motorcycle in the middle of the street. And he's like, is there any damage or anything like that? And he's like, no, it's a weird thing. It's as if it was just placed there. There's not even dents, scuff marks, anything. There's not even track marks anywhere around here. He's like, okay, and then asked, should I move it? And he says, yeah, just be on the safe side. Just move it that way. If anybody turns on the street, no one like runs over it and they get hurt. So he does that, and the neighbor across the street comes out and he says, is everything okay? And he's like, I don't know, okay. And he's like, wait, this is his motorcycle? And they're like, yeah. He's like, is everything okay? And he's like, I don't know. So after about a minute, the police show up. I believe 3 of them, 3 5-0s, show up, and they put the bike where he normally puts it, and they turn and they see the door is now open. They're like, oh no. So that means somebody most likely broke in. So at first I thought that, and my father thought the same thing, was it a 5-0? Because but then I thought about it, it's not possible because of one thing. Even if you got caught red-handed, you would drop the bike. But there was nothing. There was no evidence that even showed like anybody was even there, as if the bike was just placed there. So that was weird. And then so they go inside the house and they look around, and there is 8 droplets of blood. And so I thought a bloody nose, and I was right. But I asked my dad, was there any other blood anywhere? And he's like, no. And I said, was there any tissues anywhere? And he's like, no. That's a weird thing. And I'm like, oh my. Because even if you have a bloody nose, you're not going to stop bleeding unless you do like the tilt thing. And so I thought that was very strange. So I was like, okay, so 8 drops, but there's no blood outside, and there's only blood in that place, and there's no tissues, no evidence. So nothing was taken, nothing was moved, nothing. So they go back outside, and they notice a barn. So they go by the barn, and there's this man in there. So he says, wait, don't do anything. I live here. And they're like, wait, you live here? And they're like, yeah. And you've been here the whole time? He's like, yes, since 2:30. And now it's like 6:15, 6:30. So that means he's been there for 4.5 hours. He's like, and you didn't notice? And he's like, no, why? And he says, I have a alarm, and I had the door locked. So like, so they show him, and he's like, well, that's weird. So he says, I have some security cameras. And he said, they asked him, why were you in the barn? And he said, well, I was cleaning up because I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be leaving with some buddies to go to the cabin like we go every single year. And we stay there for the whole week. So I wanted to make sure everything was in place, and that way it doesn't, look bad when I get back. Like, oh, okay. So he has some security cameras, and he showed them, and his thing is on a 3-second delay. So it shows something very creepy. It shows the door open, no shadow, and 3 seconds later the door closes, and then it opens again. So I said, was there a lockpick? But then my dad said that no, that because there was no evidence that even the door was jammed. There was no forced entry. There was nothing that said that even anybody was there except the droplets of blood in the door that was open. That's it. And I'm like, oh my God. And there was no shadow. There was nothing. Just the door opens, closes, and then opens again. That's it. I mean, if it wasn't for the droplets of blood, I mean, there wouldn't be any evidence to say that there was even a human even there. So then the neighbor that came over to ask if everything was okay, he says that I have security cameras too. And he shows it, and nothing. It shows that the bike comes in, but you don't see anybody. And like I said before, it was as if someone was placed there. And a motorcycle weighs it's not small. It weighs quite a bit. So if you move it and you drop it, it's going to cause damage. So they're like, okay, this is weird. And then another neighbor came by and said that I always have my coffee at around 4:15, and I always have my windows open. It's right in front of the street. You can see right in front of the street. And I didn't see anything. And they're like, wait, what? So she took a bathroom. She had to go to the bathroom to get something. She didn't have, and it took her only like 10 seconds to get what she needed in the bathroom. When she came back, she still didn't see anything. Like, so they checked to see if there was a call beforehand. And there was. So at around 45 minutes before the second call, hang on. My father listened to this other call that happened 45 minutes prior, and it was creepy as hell. The person sounded like he was a smoker, or a person that had like a cancer that makes your voice really, really, really raspy or something like that. So they were like, okay, this is weird. And the call was 2 minutes long. But he said that I reported the motorcycle stolen at around 2. And they're like, wait, you did? So he was at a bar for 2 hours. And when he got out of the bar, he noticed that his bike was not there. And the bar had one security camera, but nothing showed up at all. So they were like, okay. So they noticed that. So all this had to happen in around an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. So at first I thought, okay, could have been one of his friends. But even then, it couldn't have, because none of his friends have a key to his home. And if you were going to steal a bike as a prank, why would you leave it in the middle of the road that could cause somebody else to get hurt? That makes no sense whatsoever. So obviously it was not them. So I don't know how to explain it. So I'm going to call this a paranormal experience, because there's no way I can explain it. Nobody else could. So yeah. So that is it. So make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll talk to you.